Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Just let me be blunt. My speech in the morning, nothing but grunts. With no coffee, that's as dangerous. On a scale from 1 to 10, I rank it that girl from Stranger Things. And if you get what I'm saying, my attitude be mad flagrant like I'm Draymond. But you ain't get the picture, PFP. So I'm gonna keep pushing on you, GNC. It's like, yeah, the first thing on my mind is when that hot coffee gonna seep into the coffee grind. It's like some magic's floating all in the air. Toss some ice cubes in my cup, it's a good day. All I gotta say is that it's starting in a good way. It's time for work and I don't even care. Just wake me up. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Always start fresh, that's how it's gotta be. Everything starts back with your coffee beans. If it's cold brew, then it's gotta be coarse. Don't get the cart ahead of the horse, start learning the course. But of course you can disregard. And don't at me if it gets too hard. When it's my time to drink, man, it's always on hand. Drink from a cup or a bottle, even a can. You never know when you're craving no hit. It could be in the bathroom while you're taking a Ric Flair on CD, ain't got nothing on it. When that coffee hits my lips, it's a seance. Feeling real super with the cape on. Anything I'll take on. This cup of coffee, yeah boy, this is the shit. Just wake me up, just wake me up. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Push the cold brew. Third verse, so I guess that's where I talk about how we might be addicted in a roundabout kind of way, or how you say, a dependency that's in my life, and I'm proud to say it's filling me with way more energy than I'll ever need, keeping me up for things I thought I'd never see. Time's gonna kill us all one day, whether old age illness or from listening to Coldplay. F that noise, wubba lub lub. Drink all the coffee, chug a lug lug. The day doesn't start till you're on your second cup. If they talk before then, homies better duck. It's 100% okay.
Good morning, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world, and welcome to the morning stream here on the Den of Nerds Live, the very best way to start your nerdy day. I almost lost it there, Chet. Got a little something in the throat. I know, ridiculous. Look, guys, on today's show, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm probably going to literally just rant about DC, about AT&T, about Warner Brothers, about the Snyder cut, about the Ayer's cut, about Make Solo 2 happen. I'm just going to rant, hopefully for only like 30 minutes, and then we can get into some Q&A. But, you know, as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for the stream, music's too loud, Chet, Jesus. As what I was thinking about, if I don't get this off my chest, like if I don't fully just go everywhere I want to go with this in my thought process, I'll never be able to like let it go. I'll never be able to move on. I'll never be able to like, I don't know. Like I'll be completely honest here. So we had a community stream last night. I thought it was great. It was a great community stream. A lot of different people popping in, giving their opinions. But I felt like a few times in that stream, I sort of hijacked the stream with thoughts that I have. And I wasn't able to, I don't know. I can't let them go. I feel like until I just get all of this out, until I just speak fully about what I was saying, what I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to actually like get into a good discourse about this or talk about this. You know, it was such a good stream yesterday. It was so good. And I appreciate everybody that came in and everybody that talked about stuff. It was awesome. But I feel like until I just word vomit every which way that I feel, I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to. It doesn't sit well with me. Do you know what I mean? And so I'll be completely honest with you guys. No script. Off the dome. I'm just gonna rant about this entire situation and how I feel about it, and we'll go from there. But I want to say what is up to all of the beautiful people coming in here. XR Coons here, Justin's here, Landon Dubs, Sam Shills, Yinzer Jim, Star Wars Santa is here, Jacob's Quest says Josh is late. Yeah, I was a little late. Lavis is here. What's up, Lavis? Marvel Maniac, John Stormbreaker, Bill M's in the building, Jason's here, Trinity's here, Mike Porter, Gray, Tara's here. Oh no! I just had to stop in and say no to the title. Awesome. Awesome. I put Lito's Joker on the thumbnail just for you, Tara. Moonlit Trev's here. Cody Harper, Captain Pennsylvania, the Spider-Man Show. Rob Van Camp, John Harris. Oh my goodness, so many beautiful people. Andrew Gates, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? How's everybody doing today? Tuesday, man. On a Tuesday. Incidentally, I am not Moonlit Trev. Man. So, we'll just see where this all goes. You know what I mean? And I'll keep a little eye on the chat, and I'll see how everybody's doing. Kind of address things as they come along. And I do want to say, too, I mean, it's important to note that my opinions are not the opinions of the Den of Nerds. You know what I mean? We have a very eclectic group of people that have different opinions, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? It's awesome, and I think that it's good. I think it's good to have discourse. I'm a big fan of discourse, especially with people that you presume are on this other side of you. There's all these walls built up in society and shit these days. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be a team player and a team hater, you know? And I've just seen so much go on in the last 4 or 5 days about this whole situation with Warner Brothers and AT&T, and it's just fascinating to me. I have so many different thoughts about it, so I'm just going to word vomit for a while. You know what I mean? I'm just going to word vomit. But I will say it's important to note that this is not the expressed opinions of the Den of Nerds. This is just Josh. You know what I mean? It's just me talking about this. And I hope that if I disagree with some people, they understand it's not in a malicious way. You know? It's just, this is how I feel. So, let's start with the David Ayer's cut. Okay, now, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. The David Ayer's cut is, to me, it's even worse. It's even worse. Jacob's Quest, I see you. It's even worse than the situation with Zach. It really is. Because they brought in a studio that cuts trailers, that cuts together trailers to come in and recut his movie. Now, I think what is understated in this whole discussion is that unlike the Snyder cut, the David Ayer's cut was like 95% done. It was like done. To the point where they didn't just screen it internally for people at Warner Brothers. They screened it for audiences. You know what I mean? They streamed it for audiences. And Warner Brothers decided, you know, thanks, David. We'll take it from here. And they literally hired a movie house that cuts trailers to cut together this film. I can test that the David Ayer's cut is one of the worst edited major motion pictures ever. And it fails on 2 levels. It fails on the micro, and it fails on the macro. Honestly, almost the only two levels you really need to worry about as an editor. But let me explain what I mean. It fails in the micro because there's just weird scenes and weird relationships and things cut out that make things really not make sense. The whole Harley Joker thing, I think, is an example of this. That storyline and those characters was just really drastically hurt because of the editing. I think, too, the relationship of the Enchantress and the rest of the team, it doesn't, like, none of it makes sense. It's all really shaky and terrible. There's a lot of stuff that is really annoying, like the way that they cut the logos coming up for everybody and all those different things. The series of intro shots and intro editing for all these different characters and all that stuff. I just felt like it failed on the micro. But where the movie really fails editing is it fails with the macro. It fails to convey an actual... Guys, it fails to actually convey a storyline and a plot that makes any bit of sense. Like, there's no flow for that story. And after we got off of the stream last night, I was talking to a buddy about the whole situation. And the more I thought about that movie and the cut that we saw in theaters, the more upset I got. Because, look, I'll agree that the Leto Joker was whack. Okay? I completely agree that the Leto Joker was whack. But there's a lot of really good stuff in that movie that it's just a damn shame. It's a shame that stuff is tarnished because of the decisions that Warner Brothers made. And we're gonna get into this whole situation because it's all gonna come back on like Kevin Tsuchihara and a lot of these people at Warner Brothers and mainstream media, and how fucking the mainstream media and basically a social structure that has existed in Hollywood and between the trades and the people and all of that. It's all breaking down, and Hollywood is desperately trying to hold on to it. So there's stuff here. There's like so many places I'm going to go with this, but let's just focus on the cut itself. Amanda Waller. That is a brilliant Amanda Waller. Why do I keep saying Amanda? Like Charmander or some shit? Yeah, what the fuck? What's wrong with you, Chet? Did you put something in my coffee today? Look, that Amanda Waller was awesome. Like, really, really good. Like, really, really good. The scene she had with Bruce Wayne at the end of the film, I thought was awesome. I thought it was amazing. I really did. Harley's pretty awesome in that movie, too. Killer Croc is pretty cool in that movie. Did you guys know that there was a scene with Killer Croc and Batman? There was a Killer Croc and Batman scene, just like there was that Flash scene, and just like there was that scene where Bats has an interaction with Joker and Harley. Batman was going to be sprinkled throughout this movie, actually. Like, way more. Yeah, and XR Coon's right. If you guys can drop a like on this stream, it would be great. Drop a like on the stream. Could you do me a favor? Just drop a little like on the stream. That would be great. Even Will Smith's Deadshot is really good. It's great, actually. And I was surprised by this. I think he's actually really good in that film. I love the stuff with him and his son. I love all of that, how they did that. I thought it was really cool. Now, again, that sort of like extra bombastic music video editing shit, I feel like kind of if you pull that back a little bit, it's good stuff in there. And like, I started to think, I really started to think about like this whole journey with the DCEU, this whole thing with the DCEU. There's a lot of people that really like sort of dug in and said like, oh man, I really like these movies. I'm a big fan of these movies. And we always knew there were like Zack Snyder fans and really big fans of what was going on in those movies. Now, there was definitely a lot of people that didn't like it. They didn't like the darker tone. They didn't like, Superman killing people. They didn't like Batman shooting people and all this sort of stuff, right? That's real, and it exists. But when it comes to this whole situation with the DCEU, man, like looking back at it all, the real crazy thing is, I think the filmmakers and the actors and a lot of different people over there were really on board, and had Warner Brothers not been Warner Brothers, we would be in an entirely different situation right now. Do you guys remember when The Rock came out in a shirt that said something like "fuck Marvel" or something like that back in the day when he got cast for Black Adam, like a decade ago? Do you guys remember that? Like a decade ago. And David Ayers is like, is talking about how there was this whole thing leading up to that where he's like taking shots at Marvel, and he's talking about the villains and all these different things. And there was this sort of this fighting Marvel versus DC, right? As a fan, that stuff's awesome. Like, as a fan, I'm into that because it gets back to this thing of like the distinguished competition and Marvel and DC and Marvel like beefing at each other and stuff. That stuff's cool. It's really cool. And the more I think about it, man, the more I get pissed off because honestly, looking back at it now, it really seems like and it feels like Warner Brothers and Kevin Tsuchihara, they fucked it all up. Like, I think this is definitely an unprecedented thing. What AT&T has done here is unprecedented. And honestly, it is going to change the game. It is going to have an incredible impact on entertainment moving forward. This is, I don't know if people fully grasp how big of a deal this is and how much this is going to impact things moving forward. And the thing that I find frustrating now is that it seems like, for whatever reason, a bunch of different fans can't see that. They can't understand that. They don't get why this is a big deal and, frankly, why it is a huge win for fans. Like, I 100% believe that. This is an incredible win for fans. And, like, there are people out there that are saying, yeah, but Warner Brothers is doing all this damage now. They're doing all this damage. They're doing damage to this. They're doing damage to that. They're doing damage to this. Look, at the end of the day, they had already done the worst kind of damage you can do, and that was the damage between you and the fans. And it wasn't just the DC fans. It was like the Marvel fans and stuff too. Because it's like, it's embarrassing. Do you guys remember when DC would go to every Comic-Con? They'd go to every Comic-Con and they'd throw up like 12 logos and they'd talk about all these different movies that were happening, all these different things, and get people so hyped up, and then they'd just flounder it. Or they'd come in and cut it up. They'd come in and do this. They'd come in and do that. Warner Brothers was not in a position, like they were not in a position to fully recover from the damage that they had done during those times. Like, they had turned off a bunch of like double dip fans, like, comic book fans in general, fans that love DC and love Marvel. They had turned off a ton of them with that series of movies. And really, it all came down, for me, to Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League. like a triple threat of bullshit cinema. And it's just like, it's so frustrating for me personally to watch all these fans say, yeah, but. No. I'm sorry, but no. There's no fucking way. There's no way that a logically thinking person can come to that conclusion. Look, this studio botched, screwed up, handcuffed, did things that like are horrible. Horrible. You know, Kevin Tsuchihara forced out the cut of Justice League at a 2-hour cut time, and he forced it out that year so that he could get his bonus. You guys know this, right? Does anybody not know this? Chet, do you not know this? Kevin Tsuchihara forced out Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, so that he could make his bonus. Like, dude. If anything, this entire situation should make everybody put a magnifying glass on a bunch of different people here, on people at Warner Brothers, and also people in the media. This is disruption. This is pure disruption to that system, to that machine, to that industry. And I'm sorry, I can't understand the perspective of, yeah, but. Like, yeah, but it's going to do all this damage. It's going to, confuse audiences. It's going to do all of this stuff. Dude, this is righting one of the most egregious wrongs in the history of pop culture cinema, in the history of comic book movies. They should do the Justice League, the Snyder Cut. They should spin content out of it. They should do David Ayer's cut. And they should still do the stuff that they're working on right now, like James Gunn's Suicide. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm into it. I'll watch James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I think it'll be interesting. I'll watch The Batman. I will. I'll watch that Batman movie. But the Batman, look, there's no denying this. Let me explain it to you like this. There's no denying that this stuff is coming. This stuff is coming from the old guard. 100%. Sift through the bullshit. This stuff's coming from the old guard. Right? I also think, and this is just for me personally, I think the idea of Warner Brothers saying, hey, we tried this, it didn't work, now we're going to downplay connective tissue, now we're going to downplay our shared universe, now we're going to act like there was never a shared universe. I feel like that is weak, dude. That is weak sauce beyond belief. Like, honestly, my absolute disdain for Warner Brothers. I've actually tried to keep it bay, believe it or not. And, most people are like, oh, you're such a DC hater, and all this stuff. It's like, no, not at all. But everything that came out of that old guard and all the decisions made for that old guard and everything that was going on with that old guard, yeah, I definitely didn't like. Like, really didn't like it. I really didn't like it. So, to me, it's just like, wow, like, how is this not justice? If you're a person that doesn't like studio interference, you don't like suits, you don't like these people coming in and making all these business decisions with the characters that you love, if you don't like the people coming in that don't respect the source material, if you don't like all of these different things that for so long fans and a lot of fans have said, these are the things I care about, these are the things I like, I don't like it when this, that, and this happens, then how can you, as a person that feels that way, view what's going on with David Ayers and with Zack Snyder and with Warner Brothers in general, and how can you not cheer that on? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And by the way, this is the other side of this that's crazy. Hollywood should be really scared. They should be really scared. This is a huge disruption. Guys, the story's out there. Warner Brothers didn't want to do this. And why did Warner Brothers not want to do this? They didn't want to do this. No offense. But they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to look vulnerable. They didn't want to look responsible. They wanted to protect the narrative and this ivory tower Hollywood elitist mentality. They wanted to sit up there, use the access media, use the trades, use all of that to spin all the narratives to make them look good. And literally, a telecommunications company and a bunch of outside people came in and literally said, it's like exactly what Trev said last night, where Trev was like, you know, their most valuable IP are just sitting up on the shelf, and they've devalued their most valuable IP, and they've done all this stuff for the sake of dollars and cents in situations that doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't even make sense what they're doing. And AT&T came in and was like, you guys are really dumb. AT&T came in and literally said what I've been thinking for the past 6 years. You guys are really dumb. Like, really, really dumb. We're going to totally we own you. We bought you. And now it's like AT&T is like, you know, continuing to rile fans up and get fans, like all this stuff. And people out there are like, oh, AT&T shouldn't be doing that. Are you kidding me? If I was in charge of AT&T, I'd start memeing that they came in and bitch slapped Warner Brothers. I'd start memeing that they came in and vanquished evil. I'd start memeing about how they came in, inherited this broken relationship between the studio and fans, and now they're repairing it. Because the amount of attention that they are getting right now on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, all your social medias, the amount of attention that they are getting and that they're rallying up is crazy. It's crazy. It matters. It matters. And other studios are going to look at this now. And you know who else is going to look at this? Other shareholders. This is a literal turning point. A turning point for studios, for IP, for all of this stuff, for fans moving forward. This is a turning point. This is so ridiculous. Like, to me, the idea of them doing this is so wild, and they knew it was wild, and they did it because it was wild. I just don't get it. Like, honestly, I don't get it. And the other side of this that's really weird to me is, like, you know, and we had this, like I said, we had a great debate last night. A lot of different people with different interesting perspectives. It was awesome. But one of the things that's really interesting is this idea of, like, oh, but they're going back. They're going back and they're not moving forward, right? They're not actually moving forward. Well, to be honest with you, that was sort of already what they were doing. Like, Warner Brothers was one of the things I was most pissed off about with Warner Brothers was after Batman v Superman, they couldn't decide what they wanted to do. Do we stick with Zack? Do we not stick with Zack? They couldn't decide what they wanted to do. Their course of action, what they decided to do, was move forward with Zack and yet start tweaking his vision, turning his vision, literally interfering from day one. That's their plan? Their plan was essentially have your cake and eat it too. They are literally like the ultimate fence sitters. Oh, we're gonna lean into this connective tissue. We're gonna create our own cinematic universe. But then when these movies don't make as much money as we want, and when the press is bad and all this sort of stuff, we're just gonna stop talking about it. Are you serious? We're just gonna stop talking about it. We're gonna tell people that the DCEU never existed. We're going to just move forward. We're going to make a Wonder Woman movie that was the same Wonder Woman in Justice League, and we're going to act like it's not a thing. We're going to make an Aquaman movie with the Aquaman from Justice League, and we're going to act like it's not a thing. We're going to make a new Batman movie. We're going to make a Joker movie that doesn't apply. Here's one of the things that's always pissed me off, and this is one of the things I get really fired up about. Elseworlds and standalone stuff is totally and completely fine. Not only that, it's probably necessary. I think you need to do it. But this idea that you can't do that and then also create a mainline canon is ridiculous. But Warner Brothers' strategy was, we're going to try to have our cake and eat it too and hope nobody looks real hard. We're going to tonally shift everything. We're going to take these same characters that worked. It's so cringy business. It's like horrible. It's horrible. I feel like every single person that was on the Warner Brothers executive board that had anything to do with these decisions, I think they all need to just go. They just need to go. They need to be kicked out the window like in that meme. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like I don't get the resistance to it. I don't get the idea. Like to me, frankly, like where was the evidence? Where's the evidence that DC and Warner Brothers even had a plan moving forward? Where's the evidence that they were going to do things better than they did before? Where's the evidence that had they not gone back, things would have been smooth sailing moving forward? Where's the evidence for that? Where's the evidence? There is none. There's no evidence. They did Birds of Prey. They're going to do The Batman. Apparently, they're still going to do Aquaman 2. Wonder Woman 1984 is going to come out. Like, there's no evidence out there that they were going to have any sort of a new plan. I mean, think about this. We've got now HBO Max stuff happening. Maybe a Green Lantern show with Jeff Johns. You know? Justice League Dark with J.J. Abrams. All this other stuff. Where's the evidence that they were going to be clear with what was going on? Where's the evidence that they were going to make it all make sense for fans, like give fans what they wanted? There's no evidence of that. I think if you're a $1 billion telecommunications company and you come into that Hollywood system, like, I'm sure it's just stupid. It's like so stupid. You look around and you're like, so why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, you're doing all this stuff just to hold up the illusion that you're the big bad dudes. You make all the decisions. You're the gatekeepers, all these different things. It's so ridiculous. Ultimately, the people that pay for those mansions, ultimately the people that bring all of that clout and money and attention and all that buzz and everything that they benefit off of, it's all fans, you know? It's all fans. And I've said this often, you know, I don't think it's that hard. This is one of the big criticisms I have with Star Wars and Lucasfilm. Is it's not even that hard to look out on the internet and get a temperature for where fans are feeling. It's really not even that hard. I think you got to get a little internet savvy. I think you got to learn, the meme culture. I think you got to learn what shit posting is. I think you've got to put a filter on so that you can more properly assess the information. But the information's there. There's never been more information there, and it's never been more public. They used to pay people. They used to have to pay companies a lot of money to go research, to figure out what people want. Now, people freak out about what they want 3 times a day. It's not that hard. AT&T came in and just looked at the data. And to be honest with you, guys, look, here's what's crazy. The Snyder cut on HBO Max will be bigger than Wonder Woman. It'll be bigger than The Batman. It'll get more attention than the Joker movie. I promise you. That's like a statistical fact. Are you kidding me? This is the biggest media story of like the last 5 years. Everybody's going to watch this thing. Everybody. Everybody's going to watch it. It'll have more eyeballs on it, negative and positive people checking it out. I promise you that is what will happen. It will be bigger than any theatrical cut that Warner Brothers puts out in the next couple of years. And so then take a step back. What does that mean? Everybody's got all these ideas that like, oh, well, they'd never continue that. They'd never keep doing that. I promise you, this ain't it. Everybody thinks like this is it, right? This is it. It's just going to be the Justice League cut. It's going to be do that. Guys, Warner Brothers is probably, like, any executives over there, anybody that's not A&T people, they're probably like on their hands and knees praying that it's just this. It's just let it be this. Guys, numbers talk, money talks. What do you think is going to happen after this is the most watched thing on streaming, and Warner Bros. And AT&T and all these people are going to start just putting that out there, the numbers, the insanity of how many people view it in the first 48 hours. You know what I mean? How much buzz it makes each week. Are you kidding me? What do you think they're going to do? You think the company that came in that said, hey, all of this, the ways of doing this before, all of this Hollywood BS, we're going to sideline all that. Zach, here's the contract, sign on the dotted line, we're making this happen. And then they watched their stock price come up, and then they watched all of the buzz online, and they're going to watch the subscription numbers tick up and the views. And you really think that company that came in, that made all of those decisions, is going to look at all that data and sit back and say, you know what? But yeah, I don't want to continue making this stuff. It's probably not a good idea. Let's go in this new direction. Do you really think that's what's going to happen? Think about it. Think about it. It's a whole new world. One more thing I want to say, and then I want to get into Q&A, because I do want to know what you guys think about this. This is just therapy for me. I'm just ranting into the microphone here. And by the way, again, I'm just one man, and I don't mean to belittle anybody's opinions. I'm just speaking freely about how I feel about this, okay? Zack Snyder had a lot of haters. There's a lot of people not fans of Zack Snyder. People have been very public about it. There's a lot of people that didn't like Zack Snyder's stuff. Now, look, I don't want to dig up. I don't want to, add more drama, add more fuel to the fire. But I want you guys to think about something. I want you to ask yourself this question. how much did Zack Snyder, in interviews, on social media, anywhere, how much did Zack Snyder push back against the people that didn't like his stuff? Even passive aggressively. How much did Zack Snyder come out and say things like, I don't know, maybe man babies? You know, do you guys know where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? How much did Zack Snyder come out and poke the bear? I'll answer it. Never. Heard, Trinity. All good, brother. See you tomorrow. Coming on the show tomorrow? Coming on tomorrow? Trinity, are you going to hang out with me tomorrow on the show? I promise I won't rant anymore. I'm getting it all out today. This is just my word vomit. I'm getting it all out. All right, dope. Looking forward to it, brother. I think Rian Johnson got an incredible amount of hate, for sure. And I think that he handled it, I'd say 80% of the time he handled it the right way. But that 20%, he really didn't handle it well. He engaged in an adversarial way. I think those are just facts. You know what I mean? I think, Ryan got it pretty hard, for sure. But, guys, look, even if you're a big defender of The Last Jedi, even if you're a big defender of Lucasfilm, of Star Wars, and all of that, even if you're one of those people, you have to admit Ryan did some stuff online that was sort of aggressive. It was sort of antagonistic of the fans. The man babies comments. Your Snoke theory sucks. All of these different things. Okay? I'm not excusing the hate that he got. I'm not. But what I'm saying to you is, I think we so quickly forget that Zach took that shit on the chin. Not only did he do that, he used the love of his fan base to positively. He tried to spin it out in a positive way for suicide prevention. Guys, you can't. God damn it. You can't deny it. Look at it. Just look at the evidence. Look at the way the people that worked with Ryan on The Last Jedi talk about Ryan. And then look at the way the people that worked with Zach on Justice League talk about Zach. It's night and day. It's night and day. You feel the love when people are talking about Zach. You feel the love. With Ryan, it's always a political, I'm not going to crap on it answer. Or if you're John Boyega, you're starting to be a little bit more open about it. If you're Oscar Isaac, you're being a little bit more open about it. Mark Hamill was open about it, and then all of a sudden, his comments got weaponized. He didn't like it. He backed off. Guys, look at the way the people that worked with Ryan talk about working with Ryan, and then look at the way that Snyder's people talk about Zach. I'm not trying to be any more controversial than I think I need to be, but I think and I hope that you can see where I'm coming from with that point. I'm not trying to tell people how to feel or how to think, for sure. But I think that if you're one of these people that's really against what's going on, I think you should just take a step back and try to look at the bigger picture. That's all. That's all. So, let's get into some Q&A. I want to know what you guys think. Look, you think I'm way wrong? You think I'm way off base? Let me have it. Let me have it. Go on, let me have it, baby. Inspector Gadget, are we getting Hal Jordan? I would say so. I would say, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go out on a limb. Do you remember all of, maybe you don't know this. This is actually a good thing to sort of illuminate. And I got to pause the music for a second here. Okay, Trinity, I see your super chat. Thank you for the support, my friend, and I will address your question in just a second. But here's another thing I just want to say, just while it's on my mind. I was a big fan of Arrow. In fact, let's jack that level up. Okay. Look, I'm a big fan of Arrow, especially early on. Okay, and they had the Suicide Squad in Arrow. Okay. And they gutted it. The studio, Warner Brothers, gutted it because they didn't want to confuse fans. They didn't want to have anything that was just going to be in the movies, in the TV shows, okay? So they gutted the Suicide Squad on Arrow, which was dope, dude. It was dope. And they gutted it for the film, for the integrity of the movie. Warner Brothers doesn't have Hal Jordan in live action over here. They don't have Bruce Wayne on the CW shows because they're so obsessed with this weird idea that audiences aren't smart enough to realize that there's a different version of these characters in different things, right? I would venture to say that is done. And so you ask me, is Hal Jordan coming? I would say, I hope 3 different Hal Jordans are coming. Because Hal Jordan is an iconic DC character that it boggles the mind that Warner Brothers and DC haven't tried again with Hal Jordan because he's one of the most popular comic book characters of all time. It boggles the mind. And that old school thinking and all of that, I hope all of that is gone. I hope it's all gone. But now let me read this chat from Trinity. What is the tipping point to which studios should listen to fans? At some point, it could interfere with production of a film, if you know what I mean. 100%, I think that's a valid point. And maybe, Trinity, you and I can sort of talk about this tomorrow. You know, maybe some people are sick of me talking about this, right? But maybe we could talk about this tomorrow. Here's what I'll say to you. You don't want to placate to fans. You don't want to give total fan service. You don't want to create a product that's essentially like a reverse engineered fan servicey thing for people, okay? That I think is that's wrong. And to be honest with you, maybe even if fans don't realize it, that's not actually what they want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like fan service in the MCU, particularly in Endgame, is earned and necessary. It's necessary and earned for what that film is. But even then, they didn't listen to fans. Do you think Fat Thor is what fans, and particularly the vocal fanboys and fangirls, do you think that's what they would have told Marvel to do? Absolutely not. Do you think Smart Hulk, I call him Soft Hulk, you think soft-ass Hulk is really what fans want? No. So you don't just give fans what they want, but that's not the same thing as not listening. Listen to the fans. Listen. I think there's the separation. Listen to the fans, but you don't give them everything they shout out you about. You can subvert expectations. I think subverting expectations is fine. But I think if you look at what happened with Rian Johnson, he took that to the extreme. You know what I mean? Like, he took the attitude of subverting fan expectations to this, like, extreme level where the movie felt borderline trolling. You know? And if you look at Ryan's personality, I don't think that's too far-fetched to really think of that he's trolling. So I think there's a difference. But again, it's information. So if I'm a big company, if I'm a big business, how do you at least not consider what they're saying? It's data. It's data points. Look at the data points. See what people are talking about. Okay? In this way, right? So it's like, okay. people obviously don't like. There's been a big vocal uprising about the Batwoman show. Okay, and this is where I think the brilliance of Feige, by the way, is going to be great, because is Feige left leaning? Probably. Is Feige into progressive politics? Maybe even identity politics? Probably. But I think what he's going to do, and why I have such faith, and I think you and I are on the same page for this, Trinity. The reason I think I'm excited to see what he does with some of these, I don't even know how to describe it. Like the low hanging fruit way of saying this is the SJW nonsense, right? That's the low hanging fruit, brain dead way of approaching this stuff, in my opinion. The truth is, it is progressive. There's always been progressive shit. There's always been morality. There's always been politics to some degree in fiction forever. That's not the actual issue. The issue is when it takes precedence over top of storytelling. When it is the character, then you haven't created a dynamic character. It's a single note, and the identity politics of it robs the thing of any goodness, of the really good shit, basically. But if I were one of these studios, and this is what I think Feige's going to do, I would look at this as an opportunity. Who could do a progressive show, a show that tackles political issues, morality, in a really tasteful way, right? Could you turn the Batwoman show, or Batgirl, or is it Batgirl? I don't even know what it is. Could you turn that show into a great show? Could you make her a super relatable character to every single person of all walks of life? I think you could. Could you still deal with the real issues that organically happen to people that are like that? I think you could. I also think you fucking should. You know what I mean? But here's where I differ from a lot of the people that retract or detract from the political messaging or the identity politics, is that for me, it is actually not an issue of identity politics, culture war, and all that bullshit. For me, it's Hollywood. It's trend chasing, not reading, non-thinking, goobly glob. And look, I love Trinity, but California people, you guys need to get out of the sun a little bit. There's too much sun frying people's brains in Hollywood. It's not identity politics. These people don't give a fuck about the politics for the most part. It's about money. It's about trend chasing. It is about antiquated thinking. That's why they do this. They don't care. They just think it will make them money. And oh, the irony. Oh, the sweet irony. That by doing that, they've created a counterculture movement that's attacking them on every front. And honestly, there's no way to break out. There's like they're in such a fucking crazy situation. How do you break out of that? I don't think you as a studio can break out of that unless AT&T comes in and puts their dick on the table. AT&T comes in and is basically like, yeah, all that bullshit's got to go. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that even made perfect sense, but that's my feelings, raw and real. That's my feelings, ladies and gentlemen. But we can get into some more questions. Can we please get a Clone Wars-like show that we follow a different Legion each season? XR Kuhn, all I can say is that you may or may not be a happy lad in the near or not so near future, and that's all I can say about that. Inspector Gadget says, I didn't know I wanted Fat Thor. Same. Samesies. They're just trying to distract you from their sexual misconduct and human trafficking. I mean, look, I mean, it's funny you say that, Trinity, because, like, I don't necessarily want to go there, but I was thinking it. I was definitely thinking it. Because that's what's really disgusting about it is if you look at it, I mean, they're all just so full of shit. You know what I mean? They're all just so full of shit. And it becomes more and more obvious the more they open their big, stupid fucking mouths about all this shit. I apologize about the swearing and the tone. But it's, like, so true, dude. It's like... And then these... Okay, I don't necessarily want to go there. Maybe we can rant about this sometime off camera. But I will just say this. I think you've got a point. You're feisty today. I'm a little feisty, yeah. But it's just been frustrating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and honestly, I respect to people's opinions. Respect. But, like, I feel like I can't, unless, this is, like I said, therapy. This is just into the mic therapy. Unless I get all these thoughts out, it's going to retract from the content. You guys remember when I did that Star Wars rant? Maybe it was last Friday or a couple Fridays ago. That rant wasn't even good. But I'll say this, the content got better after I made that rant. And people actually told me that was the case. They said, I think your content improved after that rant. And I was like, damn, maybe you're right. Maybe I need to get these things out there, say them on camera, and then once they're out, I can actually then just calm down and make the nice content. You know what I mean? Chat, did you put Ricky Gervais in Josh's coffee? Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Need some more Taylor Lane, maybe decaf? Maybe. As long as you don't tell your friend your rant first. Yeah, I know, right? We took the teeth out of that one. Josh, should Warner Brothers do a standalone Martian Manhunter movie specifically for HBO Max, or should that be a TV series for HBO Max, in your opinion? So, I think they just need to just think about what they want to do with that character. I will say this. I think they have a really special opportunity with the Snyder Cut. Like, unbelievable opportunity. Do you realize, man, it's just crazy to me. Like, this isn't even hyperbole. Executives in Hollywood would sacrifice living virgins of male and female sex by the hundreds to get the type of attention that will now be on the Snyder Cut next year. I'm like kind of joking, but the way I view a lot of people in Hollywood, it's not even really a joke. They'd literally sacrifice virgins to get this kind of attention. And so the attention that will be on the Snyder Cut is going to be ridiculous. So if they bring in Martian the Manhunter into the Snyder Cut, guys, if people love it, like, yeah, spin that shit out. You know what I mean? I thought Wednesday streams were Rona Rage Wednesdays. You're a day early today? Yeah, a little bit. Oh, my God, Kylo Rob. Oh, jeez. I'm more interested in Green Lantern. I'm pretty interested in Green Lanterns as well. Like, it blows my mind that they haven't done more with the Green Lanterns. You know what I mean? Because that's that Hollywood shit. They look at the Green Lantern movie, they look at what it made, they look at the buzz, and they say, well, clearly Green Lantern movies won't work. It's like such surface level Neanderthal thinking. Green Lantern bad. What? It's not the fact that the second and third act of that movie completely fall apart. It's not the act that you go so weird and childish and goofy, and you know your interpretation of what's the yellow spirit it's a F word, PH something. I want to say like phalanx, but it's not phalanx. It's that the yellow spirit, the spirit of fear. Was the thing? Their interpretation of that was whack. Parallax, thank you. Yeah, all that shit was whack. It's like they're like, no, we didn't screw up with this movie. We screwed up by allowing you to make this movie. Warner Brothers, what a joke. I just want them to have a Batman in the main continuity because, in my opinion, there's no way Affleck comes back unless a miracle happens. So about that, I think Affleck will come back as Batman. I'm going to say it right now. I think Affleck will come back as Batman. Now, I heard a lot of people saying like he doesn't want to do it and all this other stuff, and maybe that's true, but as I said on the stream last night, and I'll just reiterate here, this guy's on a crazy redemption path already. He's already got an incredible redemption story. So, what better way to solidify that redemption story than by returning to the Batman role and making it epic? I'd be into it. I would check it out. Josh, will you subscribe to HBO Max? 100%. 100%. Adam G says, I'm with Mav on that. Snyder Cut is too far away from the launch of this service. Launch is about a week to have much of an impact if they then wait to see how people react. So I think that's an interesting point, and it obviously would have been more ideal if they had it done and then rolled into the service. That would obviously be a much better way of doing things. However, you just can't underestimate the buzz around this movement. You know what I mean? And the people are going to back this up. Also, I've heard Zach is actually working on a trailer that will drop in maybe the next couple of weeks. And also, think about this. Think about this. You know how The Mandalorian and that documentary series, which, by the way, that thing is not doing well with views. It's really not doing that well with views. I think it's awesome, and I love the gallery, but it's not really doing it for people. Imagine if they did something like that and made a documentary series, which they could probably figure out in the next month, and they started to release a documentary series on HBO Max that documented the process of remaking this thing or documented the process of the Snyder Cut or whatever. You know? Static Shock. Static Shock would be cool. But this is like the Dark Phoenix situation. Can people get that hype for something that won't go anywhere? Okay, so I get what you're saying, Mav. But I think that it's important to realize that every big, well, not every, but most big DC Warner Brothers projects moving forward were already connected to the Justice League and to everything that came before. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa, Aquaman, The Flash, arguably, if they keep Miller. All of this stuff is already tied to the Justice League. And so I think it's a totally different situation than what happened with the X-Men films. I think it's a totally different situation. Not to mention the fact that if Cavill really is coming back to sign a big old contract, which is what people are saying, then you've at the very least, you've got 3 major franchises that are all directly tied to that film. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. So it's a totally different situation. How can people get hyped for something that won't continue? Because either way it's going to continue. And it might continue more than we can even imagine right now. As I said before, think about the numbers. Do you really think that the company that came in and realized this is the most tweeted about hashtag for any movie you've ever made, why are you not making this movie? You're being really dumb. Do you think that company is going to then say, after the Snyder Cut gets all the eyeballs that it will get, I guarantee you it will get, do you really think that company is going to say, you know what? Let's call it. Let's call it there. No. Joss Whedon's cut's canon. Let's call it there. I don't think so. I don't think so. But every movie since it came out, I'm sorry, what? But every movie since it came out went out of its way to take a main character's part of the universe out of that continuity. Okay, so it's funny you say that because, like, yeah, and that's what's been so frustrating is it's plainly, dude, it's just whack. Like, what is that? Have your cake and that's the most have your cake and eat it too bullshit I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna you're just gonna keep doing these franchises in this shared universe and then act like it didn't happen? What? I mean, like, you're right, but again, that comes from the old guard. That to me is actually systemic of that old guard, the old situation at Warner Brothers, why the fan base has sort of turned against them. I think the right move is to get the band back together again. Get the band back together again, baby. We talked about this on the show last week. People should listen to us more. 100%, Adam. 100%. We talked about all of this last week before like any of this crazy information was really coming out too. But yeah, man, it's like, what do you think's going to happen? Like, release the Chet cut. AT&T could say Joss Whedon one was Elseworld and this one is a canon one. Yeah, you know what else would be such a baller-ass move? Is if they got Joss Whedon to do some DC stuff. If they got Joss Whedon to open up, like, I mean, think about it. Do the documentary series. Like, dude, honestly, like, if I'm AT&T, I'm walking in and I'm looking at that cow, that fat cow with the Snyder Cut logo on its ass. And I'm looking at those full udders. And I'm rolling up my goddamn sleeves. And I'm milking that for all that it is worth. And tell me it wouldn't be epic to have Joss Whedon get on this documentary series and explain how even he got fucked by Kevin Tsujihara. Heads on spikes, boys. Heads on spikes. In the metaphorical sense, of course. But think about that. Joss comes in, is on the dock, explains the whole thing. Have him visit the set of the reshoots with Zach. Kill it. Kill the beef. Kill it all. Who's the real bad guys? Them over there. And then Joss Whedon comes in and does a superhero movie. Like, I just think that, like, there's so much opportunity here. If I'm AT&T, man, I'm like, the whole way. The whole way. Just my opinion. Star Wars Santa wants the original Star Wars movies released. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Josh, do you think if the Matt Reeves Batman is successful with Robert Pattinson, Warner Brothers brings in Robert as the permanent Batman for the DCEU? I mean, that's a big question, right? That's a big question. I have no idea. I will say this. I think their plan was to keep him completely separate from everything, and I see no reason why you can't just continue that plan. If I'm AT&T and a Warner Brothers executive tells me, but we can't have two Batmans in live action, I'm slapping the shit out of that executive. And I'm sending him home to his mother. Go home, Roger. What do you mean? There's obviously different interpretations of there. At one point, there was like 3 or 4 different Batman comics all running at one time. You know what I mean? And then Elseworlds come out, all these different stuff. It's like, you think maybe our most popular IP, the IP that we have that is most valuable, you're telling me that we could potentially have different Batman going into different live-action properties, raking in revenue from multiple streams off of a singular IP, and you're telling me that you don't want to do that. Well, fucking why? Could you explain why? And then I'm bending Kevin Tsuchihara over my knee, and Big Daddy AT&T is going to give him a few swats on the buttocks and send him home. That's what I think. Yeah, dude, me too. I was thinking about that Batman slapping meme as well. Owen says Josh is going to get more jacked than Pattinson. Hey, we're working on it, baby. We're working on it. Ooh, we're working on it. I'm going to get bigger than that dude for sure. And honestly, that's what's crazy. It's like I actually am happy about that whole situation because I was sitting on my ass doing nothing, losing all my muscle. And then Pattinson makes those comments. I got pissed, dude. I got pissed. And I was like, nah, dude, that shit ain't happening. So thank you, Robert Pattinson. You've given me some motivation. I'll tell you, I've got that picture of Edward Cullen up on the wall, man. When I get to working out, I just look up at that picture and I'm getting fired up, man. I'm getting fired up looking at his twinkly ass, you know? It's been cool. What if Pattinson kills it as Batman? I mean, it's very possible. That's awesome. I would love it. I'd be like, dude, this is great. This is great. I love this take. But honestly, I'm more comfortable with an Elseworld take. I'm more comfortable with, new interpretations of characters. I'm more comfortable. Play. Jacob's Quest. I got a picture of Edward, too, for reasons. Nice. I'm more comfortable with that if you have a mainline canon already established. If you have a mainline canon established, it's okay. You can go over here. You can play. You can do all this crazy stuff. It's fine. Al Schuler in the building. Al, I've just been ranting about Warner Brothers and DC for over an hour. Yeah, I woke up today and I said, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to get on the stream and just rant about Warner Brothers, DC, and Justice League and all that shit for an hour and currently 15 minutes. So typical day. XR says, hey, Josh, now that there is the Mando tech, do you think Star Wars Underworld could now be made? Because using the TVs is cheaper. Yeah, dude, totally. XR 100%. That technology is amazing. I think it's going to do a lot for cinema, shows, live action, everything moving forward. It's crazy. Did you guys know that they actually use video game engines there? Well, maybe. Okay, so full disclosure, I actually have not seen the most recent episode of the Mandalorian documentary. I know that they talk about the technology in that episode, so maybe I just need to get on that and watch it. But from my understanding, before watching it, the the deal is they use video game rendering technology and, like, I believe the Unreal Engine to create that. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. Same people develop games as SFX. Go watch it right after the stream. I think I will, but, like, oh man, do I have a busy day. Unreal Engine 5 looks absolutely sick. Dude, for sure. Are you kidding me, dude? Unreal Engine 5? Like, plug me into the Matrix already. This shit looks dope. Nice. The engine is nuts. Yeah. Busy week, I think. Yeah, it's a busy week for sure. React says, I think it would be cool if they let Reeves finish his trilogy and just have Batfleck in the Justice League crossover movies, and then Reeves is done and Affleck solo. Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that DC has at their disposal at any time they want is a crisis or a multiverse crossover. Guys, some of the best DC stories ever involve multiple Superman from different realities. So what's really bizarre, just going back just for a second, just dipping back into the Warner Brothers haterade for just a second here. What's even more crazy is they've actually had a diegetic, canonical way to make it so all of these different characters can exist. You can have your Batman over there. You can have your Batman over there. You can have your Batman over there. They have literally a diegetic and canonical way to make it all make sense, and yet they don't. Josh, this is off topic, but have you had a chance to see the cinematic trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla? And are you going to buy the game? Not really big into the Assassin's Creed. I liked the first one. I thought the first one was groundbreaking. The second one takes it to another level. But other than that, not really. The trailer looks dope. But, yeah, I don't know. Unreal 5 will be a game changer, pun intended. Yep. Mateo says, what is the future of Star Wars animation besides the Rebels sequel series? No comment. But I'll say this. If you watch the interview I did with Corey and Noah, they talk about another animated series that's coming. And that's real. Other than that, no comment. Josh, have you heard anything about the X-Men? Nothing that I can nothing solid. Nothing solid. Nothing solid on it. Of course I've heard things, but yeah. All right, last question I'll take today. Josh, what do you think of Hickman's X-Men? I love it, dude. I love it. But I'm also an incredible Hickman fan. Was that the right way to say that? It makes me sound like I'm incredible. No, I'm a big Hickman fan. I'm an incredible Hickman fan. Everybody look at me. But no, I love Hickman's stuff. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the X-Men runs. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for letting me just have this therapy session. Again, just how I feel. People feel differently. That is awesome. That is fine. That actually adds for the flavor, the spice of life. I think the conversation is great. I think the conversation is great. But I just had to let it all out, man. I just had to let it all out. So that's how I feel, okay? You guys are amazing. Video about Make Solo 2 happen coming on the channel later today. I will be speaking on that on the channel later. So look for that. And yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff going for the channel. Make sure you check out our social media and whatnot. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next